Welcome to this presentation of why you must fund a revocable living trust in order to avoid probate. Revocable living trusts are really popular in certain states because they help avoid probate, and this is really important in certain states like California. But if you have an RLT, it's vitally important to fund it. There are two phases to an RLT. The first phase is just drafting the document, and the second phase is doing all of the admin to fund it during your lifetime. When you have a will-based plan, the first phase is drafting the will, and the second phase of admin happens after your death, and that's called probate. And if you have an RLT but do not fund it properly, you get both sometimes. Here's an illustration. Think of yourself as living on an island, and think of your heirs or beneficiaries as living on the island next door. Think of all your assets as being on huge container ships on the deep ocean. Each container ship is from a different company like Bank of USA cargo ship or ABC brokerage company on a different one, and your house is yet on another. The bay is shallow, so those container ships can't just sail on in. You have these smaller tender boats that go between and transfer the goods from the container ships to your island. After you die, someone needs to be official to tell the container ships to give up your cargo and drive those tender boats to pick up and drop off. That process, legally speaking, is called probate. Probate is a court process to get your executor appointed, and the executor does all of the admin work of transferring assets to your heirs. But let's say you set up a revocable living trust. During your lifetime, you hire the attorney to draft the document, the RLT, and the RLT builds a bridge between you and your heirs. It also builds a treasure box. The catch is that it's only an empty box at this stage. During your life, you've got to fill that box. That means you personally doing the admin work of transferring titles of your assets to the name of that treasure box. This is the process of funding the RLT, and it's fairly similar to the tasks and process of probating an estate. As such, it can take the same amount of time, which is whenever the person makes the time in their lives to do the work and deal with the institution's bureaucracy. After you die, whatever is inside the box can easily transfer across that bridge to your heirs, and that is the plan at least. The problem is that people don't always fund their trusts fully or correctly, and when you die, that lid closes. The things inside the box transfer to the beneficiaries per the RLT, but if there are things that didn't quite make it inside, you need a special key to open that lid again, and that key is probate. A special will called a pourover will is usually created alongside the RLT for this very purpose because it's common for assets to be sitting outside of that box at death. With the pourover will, after your death, probate is opened in court, giving your executor authority to direct the assets to the RLT treasure box, which then pass to your beneficiaries. You've got a probate, but hopefully it's a smaller one. It is kind of a hassle, but sometimes necessary to clean this up. I've seen many cases where the RLT was created, but it was never funded. Why? I think a lot of people don't even know they're supposed to do this. Or perhaps the client was given instructions, but they didn't either follow through or want to pay for the oversight to see that it happened. Perhaps they just got written instructions and they just kind of packed this away in the envelope. Perhaps they forgot about assets they had. Assets also change during lifetime, and if a new asset isn't titled into the RLT, it falls outside. When admin happens after death, by contrast, assets are usually fixed and aren't changing. There are many reasons why RLTs don't get fully funded, and this is why it's really important to do a regular review to make sure everything is pointed in the right direction. There's a lot of information on the internet, and some of it's true for one state but not for another. If you're in California, yeah, this can save you a lot of time and money. But in Washington, where probate is simpler, the cost benefit can come down to how type A or task-driven you are. If you're super tidy and meticulous with paperwork, you follow all directions and you transfer everything up front and maintain regularly, you'll pay more up front with an RLT and personally do a lot more work, but you'll save your heirs on the back end. If you've got an RLT but you don't do a thorough job, you could be paying more up front and your heirs could also pay more on the back end. If you have a will and a straightforward estate, you'll probably pay less up front and do less work, but your heirs could pay more on the back end. Here's one idea of how time and work is allocated. You might think of it as burden shifting. your burden or theirs. A tidy RLT puts more time and work on your end, but saves your heirs on the back end. A will saves you more time and money, but shifts the admin and legal expense to your heirs. An RLT which is not administered well is the worst of both worlds. It costs more upfront, takes more time, but also costs as much or more in time and money for your heirs. Bottom line, if you're choosing the RLT, do it well and thoroughly to obtain the benefits you're seeking. Thank you for watching this presentation of why you must fund a revocable living trust to avoid probate. As per usual, consult with an attorney in your jurisdiction for advice specific to your situation, and let us know if we can help tailor a plan that fits your vision.